Finally, this new video confirms it. Hugh is dating his Music Man co-star, Sutton Foster.
You're amazing. You're incredible.
The Tony winners holding hands, looking happy, relaxed, and low-key after a 2-hour dinner date in Santa Monica last night. We're told they sat in a window seat and returned home together.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Famous and Fearless channel. Broadway's most beloved leading man just became its most controversial homewrecker. Hugh Jackman, the guy who seemed to have the perfect Hollywood marriage, has been exposed in a scandal that's ripping apart families and shocking fans worldwide. What started as innocent co-star chemistry has exploded into accusations of betrayal, lies, and a secret affair that destroyed a 27-year marriage. The man who played Wolverine for 2 decades couldn't stay loyal to the one person who believed in him from the beginning. For nearly 3 decades, Hugh Jackman and Deborra-Lee Furness were Hollywood's golden couple. Their love story read like a fairy tale. She was an established Australian actress who discovered him as an unknown theater actor in the 1990s. Despite a 13-year age gap that raised eyebrows, their connection was undeniable. She saw his potential when nobody else did, supported his dreams when he was broke, and watched him transform from a struggling performer into one of the world's biggest movie stars. 27 years of marriage, 2 adopted children, and endless red carpet moments that made everyone believe in true love. Jackman constantly gushed about his wife on social media, calling her his greatest gift and posting anniversary tributes that went viral every year. In 2018, he posted a photo of them together with the caption, "Deb, from day one, we had that." 22 years later, it only gets deeper. "You and the kids are the greatest gift I will ever receive." The post got millions of likes from fans who admired their seemingly unbreakable bond. Their relationship appeared to be built on genuine respect and partnership. Deborra-Lee was often seen supporting Hugh at premieres, award shows, and Broadway openings. She founded Adopt Change, a nonprofit focused on adoption reform, while Hugh built his empire playing Wolverine and starring in musicals. They seemed to complement each other perfectly. She was the grounded activist, he was the charismatic entertainer. Together they raised 2 adopted children, Oscar and Ava, creating what appeared to be Hollywood's most stable family unit. But behind those picture-perfect Instagram posts, cracks were already forming in ways nobody could see. Sources close to the couple revealed that Jackman had been growing distant for years, feeling trapped in a marriage that had lost its spark. The man who played romantic leads on screen was desperately searching for that feeling in real life. Friends noticed he seemed restless, constantly taking on new projects and traveling for work more frequently than necessary. The endless energy that made him a star was also making him impossible to pin down at home. The 13-year age gap that never seemed to matter was apparently becoming more significant as they entered different life phases. At 55, Jackman was at the peak of his career and physical fitness, still playing action heroes and Broadway heartthrobs. At 68, Deborra-Lee was focused on activism and family life, content with a quieter existence. Their priorities were slowly diverging, creating space for something dangerous to take root. In 2021, when Jackman signed on to star in Broadway's revival of The Music Man, he was about to find the spark he'd been missing in the worst possible way. The production was massive, with huge expectations and a budget to match. Jackman would play Professor Harold Hill, the charming con man who falls for a small-town librarian. It was the perfect role for someone with his charisma and musical theater background, but the casting of his leading lady would change everything. Enter Sutton Foster, Broadway royalty with 2 Tony Awards and a reputation for stealing every scene she touched. At 47, she was still stunning, incredibly talented, and married to screenwriter Ted Griffin with a 7-year-old daughter named Emily. Foster had conquered Broadway multiple times, starring in hits like Thoroughly Modern Millie and Anything Goes. She was known for her professionalism, work ethic, and ability to create chemistry with any leading man, but this time, that chemistry would prove catastrophic. When Foster was cast opposite Jackman as Marion the librarian, theater insiders knew the pairing would be explosive. Both were consummate professionals with decades of experience. Both were married with children, and both had reputations for keeping their personal and professional lives separate. Nobody predicted just how dangerous their onstage chemistry would become offstage. From the very first rehearsal in late 2021, 2021, something electric sparked between them that went far beyond professional admiration. The show opened in February 2022 to rave reviews, with critics praising the undeniable chemistry between Jackman and Foster. Audiences were mesmerized by their performances, especially during romantic duets where their connection felt almost too real to be acting. Night after night, they portrayed characters falling in love, blurring the lines between fiction and reality in ways that would have devastating consequences for their real-life families. Foster later revealed in interviews that she and Jackman had developed a pre-show ritual called carpet chat, where they'd spend intimate time alone in her dressing room before every performance, supposedly to catch up on their day and prepare emotionally for their roles.
When we rehearse, I don't want to be this close, if that's okay.
Well, we shouldn't be, because, you know, it's
Weird. Week 3. Chemistry.
She described these moments as essential to their onstage chemistry, a way to connect as scene partners and friends. But sources backstage paint a very different picture of those private moments that happened 8 times a week for over a year. Cast members whispered about lingering touches, stolen glances, and an undeniable tension that made everyone uncomfortable. The way they looked at each other during romantic scenes seemed too intense, too real. Their body language between scenes suggested an intimacy that went beyond professional partnership. Crew members noticed they often stayed late after shows, finding excuses to spend time together when everyone else had gone home. The Broadway community is notoriously tight-knit and gossipy, so rumors started spreading quickly through theater circles. By late 2022, the whispers had become impossible to ignore. Foster's social media activity told a disturbing story that sharp-eyed fans were beginning to piece together. She had always posted regularly about her family life, sharing sweet moments with her husband Ted and their daughter Emily, but suddenly those family posts became rare while behind-the-scenes shots with Jackman multiplied. Every Instagram story seemed to feature him, their interactions charged with an energy that felt inappropriate for married co-stars. The most telling sign came in January 2023, just as The Music Man was ending its Broadway run. Foster completely stopped posting photos with her husband Ted Griffin, despite having shared family moments regularly for years. Her last Instagram post featuring Ted was from December 2022, after which he mysteriously disappeared from her social media entirely. Meanwhile, she continued posting behind-the-scenes shots with Jackman constantly, their body language screaming intimacy to anyone paying attention. The contrast was stark and suspicious. Broadway insiders later admitted they all knew what was happening, but stayed silent out of respect for both actors' reputations and families. The affair was an open secret in theater circles, but nobody wanted to be the one to expose it and destroy 2 marriages. Cast members watched uncomfortably as their married leads conducted what appeared to be an emotional and physical affair right in front of them. The situation created tension within the production, but everyone hoped it would end when the show closed. Instead, everything exploded in the most public way possible. On September 21st, 2023, Jackman blindsided the world by announcing his separation from Deborra-Lee in a joint statement that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The carefully worded message talked about growth and individual journeys, claiming they had decided to separate to pursue our individual growth. It sounded amicable and mature, but sources revealed the truth was far more devastating and one-sided. According to multiple insiders, Deborra-Lee had discovered the affair and was absolutely shattered by her husband's betrayal. One source claims she was blindsided when she found out about Hugh's relationship with Foster through people connected to the Broadway show. The woman who had supported his career for nearly 30 years, who had sacrificed her own acting ambitions to raise their children and manage their household, suddenly realized her husband had been living a double life for over a year. The timing of the announcement was particularly cruel. It came just months after Jackman had posted another loving tribute to Deborra-Lee for their anniversary, praising their deeper connection and calling her his greatest gift. Those words now rang hollow, revealed as either lies or the desperate attempt of a guilty man to maintain his public image while betraying his wife privately. The cognitive dissonance was staggering for fans who had believed in their love story. Just 1 month after Jackman's bombshell announcement, more dominoes started falling in ways that made the affair allegations impossible to deny. why. In October 2023, Foster quietly filed for divorce from Ted Griffin after 10 years of marriage, citing the standard irreconcilable differences. The timing wasn't coincidental. It was confirmation that two marriages had imploded simultaneously, connected by the same devastating secret that Broadway insiders had been whispering about for months. The Foster divorce filing revealed additional disturbing details about the timeline. A resurfaced 2019 podcast interview showed Foster admitting her marriage to Griffin had hit zero after they adopted their daughter Emily, creating stress and distance that nearly ended their relationship. She had claimed they worked through those problems and came out stronger, but now it was clear what had really ended her marriage. It wasn't just parenting stress or natural relationship evolution, it was Hugh Jackman. For over a year after both divorce announcements, Jackman and Foster maintained the pretense that they were just friends dealing with separate marital issues. They were occasionally spotted together at Broadway events or restaurants, but always maintained they were simply supporting each other through difficult times as close friends and former co-stars. The denials felt increasingly hollow as sources continued to leak details about their relationship to gossip blogs and entertainment media. When Jackman and Foster finally went public in January 2025, holding hands during a romantic dinner date in Santa Monica, the internet exploded with fury that had been building for over a year. The photos showed them laughing intimately, completely comfortable with each other in ways that suggested a long-established relationship, not a new romance. Their body language screamed familiarity and deep connection, confirming what everyone had suspected about the timeline of their affair. Social media users didn't hold back their disgust and anger. Comments flooded in calling them cheaters and homewreckers who had destroyed families for their own selfish desires. Many focused their rage on Foster, criticizing her as a plain-looking woman who thought she'd won the lottery by stealing a married man who'd betrayed his devoted wife of nearly 3 decades. The backlash was brutal and unforgiving, with fans expressing overwhelming sympathy for Deborra-Lee and Ted Griffin, the innocent victims in this Hollywood scandal. The most devastating blow came in May 2025 when Deborra-Lee finally broke her silence after officially filing for divorce. Her statement was carefully crafted but emotionally raw, talking about the profound wound of betrayal that cuts deep. She wrote, "My heart and compassion goes out to everyone who has traversed the traumatic journey of betrayal. It's a profound wound that cuts deep. However, I believe in a higher power and that God, the universe, whatever you relate to as your guidance, is always working for us." Her words were a masterclass in dignified pain, never mentioning Jackman or Foster by name, but making it crystal clear that she wasn't talking about growing apart or natural relationship evolution. She was talking about being stabbed in the back by the man she'd loved and supported for almost 3 decades. The pain in her statement was palpable, and fans rallied around her while condemning the couple who'd caused her suffering. Today, Jackman and Foster continue their relationship despite the massive public backlash and family destruction in their wake. Sources claim they're madly in love and planning their future together, seemingly unbothered by the chaos they've created. They've been spotted holding hands around New York City, attending each other's shows, and acting like any normal couple. Except they're not normal. They're two people who allegedly conducted a secret affair while married to other people, destroying families and traumatizing children in the process. The Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster scandal reveals the ugly truth about Hollywood marriages and the lies celebrities tell to maintain their perfect public images. Behind every relationship goals, Instagram post, and red carpet kiss, there might be secrets, affairs, and betrayals that would shock even the most cynical fans. Sometimes the people we admire most are capable of the most devastating deceptions, proving that fame and talent don't guarantee moral character or basic human decency. The real victims in this story aren't the cheating celebrities who found their true love. They're the loyal spouses and innocent children whose lives were shattered by selfish choices made by people who had everything but wanted more.